got back from, on Monday we got back from Florida, and on Tuesday she went
Hammer, carrot and Just listen to the rain beat on my window pane in our With some of the current Green Team members. It's a great opportunity to become involved with the club, turn some wrenches, learn some mechanical skills, and just have fun and meet friends who are interested in the same thing. So, if you're interested in joining the Green Team or learning more, we have some information on our website, or you can visit the membership desk inside of the Founders Building. So our club first got its beginnings in 1955 when a group of local DeKalb County farmers decided they wanted. Each cylinder only uses steam once before it's being exhausted out the stack. Frick Eclipse is like saying something akin to a Toyota Corolla. So the Frick company built this engine, and Eclipse was sort of the model make because it would quote-unquote eclipse the competition. We've got them pulling their Minneapolis threshing machine. This is the original combine. So the word combine comes from the joining of a power source like the Frick with a threshing machine like this Minneapolis here. This machine's owned by the, well, most of these machines are owned by the Petersons from Hampshire. Any whistles up there, guys? Any more? I know there's one more. All right, thanks for bringing it through. Next up, we have a very, very unique machine here. This was very unusual. This is one of the most efficient traction engines ever made. It has what's known as a uniflow cylinder. So on a normal engine, the steam leaves the boiler, goes through the cylinder, does its work, and then has to pass back through a valve before being exhausted. The uniflow, it has one continuous flow path through the cylinder, so everything stays hot, you get a little bit more efficiency. Another part of the Peterson family collection, looks like you got Sophie and Lester up there. Any whistles? Any more? All right, thank you for bringing it through. Or the Lewin Martin's building sits in the mains of the Illinois Thresher Company factory. The Illinois Thresher Company was started by William Ruffley, who came from a large agricultural company that wanted to go out on its own. This is one of only side of the parade route. So this, for example, is a 19 and 65. It's rated at 19 boiler horsepower and 65 horsepower off of the belt pulley. This is part of the Gould family collection. They were formerly in Naperville. Now they're up in Wisconsin. I forget the name of the town. But we've got Levi there at the throttle today, and Dad Joe at the steering wheel. Any whistles, guys? All right, thank you. Horsepower model. It is the most popular of the late model cases. These are very common because it's a good mid-sized engine for doing drawbar work, i.e. pulling a plow or so on, as well as running implements off of the belt pulley flywheel there. We've got Austin at the throttle today, and Dad and little baby Eleanor at the wheel. Any whistles, guys? Thank you. Something interesting to note, here in the Midwest, we are fortunate to have several types of fuels that a lot of people ask, well, what does it burn? Because you need a fire in there to boil all your water and create steam. And depending on what region of the country you're in, that fuel source can vary a little bit. So in the southern United States, oil fuel was very popular. The craftsmanship that goes into these machines, which is just on the teetering point of being lost. And that's another part of what we try to do here at the Northern Illinois Steam Power Club, is preserve techniques of the past. Clayton is very involved. He's actually the groundskeeper at our sister show, the Rock River Threshery. They're in Edgerton, Wisconsin. They have a 4-day reunion just like us over Labor Day weekend. So if you like the sights, smells, and sceneries of the Steam Power Club here, please visit the Rock River Threshery in Edgerton. Now, Clayton, any whistles? Any more? All right, thanks, guys. Okay, here we have another part of the Peterson family collection. Again, they're out of Hampshire, Illinois. This is a 20-horse Minneapolis. I believe this one was built in 1916. Minneapolis is renowned for being very easy to fire and very apt for drawbar work, such as pulling a plow or a road grader. We've got Sophie at the wheel and brother Danny at the throttle today. An interesting thing to note about Minneapolis is we have another one that's coming up just behind it. No two are painted the same. So these were built in Hopkins, Minnesota, which is just outside the Twin Cities, and they were next to the art college, the Rex Company factory. So they would hire the art college to come over and paint and stretch their engines. So both the Minneapolis track engines you'll see are exactly the same kind of thing. The tangible is a water wagon and fuel tender behind it. These were useful if you were stuck in a belt pulley somewhere running a threshing machine. You'd have your team of horses take that wagon and replenish the water and coal supply so you didn't have to stop running and keep making money. Because for every second the engine stood still, you weren't making any money. Anyways, any whistles, Danny? Alright, thanks. Establishing the evolution of farm engines in this country, where the machine could move itself from place to place. This is owned by Mike Stinson, who's there at the wheel. And we've got Amelia there, riding along. Something unusual about this and the next machine you're seeing, they have vertical boilers on them. They were very popular for compact places where space was at a premium. Again, this is the first step in the evolution away from horse-drawn mechanical power on the American farm. Any whistles? What's that peanut whistle sound like? Alright, thank you. Here we have another very special machine. This is a 1925 Buffalo Springfield steamroller. I believe this is a 12-ton? 12 or a 10, something like that. 10, okay. This is part of the Fruit Family collection. They are out of Kirkland. Another instance where a vertical boiler is useful because of its compactness. Notice there's no accommodation for the firemen. They had to walk alongside while the operator, the engineer, got a nice comfortable seat power steer. That's right, there's a special motor on this engine just for steering it. Otherwise you have to Armstrong it. Any whistles? Alright, thanks you guys. Those are the machines that built the first paved roads in the United States after the coming of the automobile. So here we've got our second and last port, Huron. We've got Andy at the throttle, and I've asked Andy to come through backwards because there's a lot of different ways people tried to get the most efficiency out of their engines 100 years ago. Those designs were standardized, and they were really just experimenting. So there's a lot of ways to achieve the same effect in a different format. This one, for example, this is what's known as a tandem compound engine. So, in physics, there's a law that says that pressure and diameter are interchangeable. What that means is you can get the same pushing force in a small diameter with a high pressure as a low pressure in a larger diameter. What that means is the steam is generated and leaves the boiler, first enters this small cylinder at boiler pressure, which is about 175 psi. By the time it's pushed the piston all the way back, it's lost a little bit of its heat energy and it's gone down in pressure. So then it gets exhausted into the larger low pressure cylinder, pushes a second piston, which shares a common piston rod for the single crank, back the other way before then being exhausted out of the stack. So in essence, in theory, you're getting twice the amount of work for no extra fuel cost, which is why Fort Huron could get away with having somewhat smaller boilers like this. This is part of the Runcie family collection. He's out of Maple Park. This engine is built in 1921. It was first owned by a gentleman named John Strupp of Wisconsin. And testimonial, he was in love with the engine. It was such an efficient, easy to handle machine. This one just went through a extensive restoration, has a brand new boiler on it, it's in factory condition as it was in 1921. Again, Andy's at the throttle up there, and he whistles. Alright, thank you. So after the 1940s and 1950s, steam power and agricultural heritage started to become hot like it is here now, not everybody. Dimensionally, they are exact 1/2 shrinkage of a full-size 65 horse case. Just a little bit easier to tow around with, say, a pickup truck versus a semi, and a little easier to take care of, too. We've got Dave Stevens on my side here, and Kevin Palzinski on the far side, the bleacher side. Any whistles, you guys? Small, but these engines are incredibly powerful, and as a matter of fact, last year we put both of these on the sawmill together, and they have the combined horsepower to still turn out full-size Ford lumber. We'll probably do that again. It's pretty cool if you guys can figure that out. Yeah, that's a good show. Work out of the engine without stopping. Any whistles, guys? This is a 22 horsepower double simple. Another note is the saddle tanks, the side tanks on this engine, just a different place to have added water capacity. Another interesting feature of this engine is the fact that it has 2 flywheels. So there's a couple other double simple kept garments like this. Those were built in Mount Vernon, Indiana, but you won't see any others with the second flywheel. At some point, somebody thought that they could balance the force of the engine out and have it be smoother running by adding second flywheel, so it would keep more momentum in the engine and it could respond to the load changes differently. You got the whistle up there. Thanks for bringing it through, you guys. So steam power during the turn of the century and a little bit past that was not just, it's just a fun little device to get around with. This is owned by Bob Gelm. He's from Lombard, Illinois. I don't know the exact heritage on the equipment on that thing. Now I got to talk to him about that. But any whistles up there? All right. Thank you. Oh, the whistle cord. Anyhow, Now that's a steam-powered doodle bug. You'll see quite a few of those around the Midwest. They can go quite fast, and some are even street legal. Steam power did not last on the American farm indefinitely, and this is one of the first transitional machines away from steam power. This is built by the Russell Company. They were in Massillon, Ohio. This is a 12 and 24 horsepower model, and that's when horsepower changed a little bit. You don't have a boiler on there anymore, so that 12 is what it can produce off of the drawbar, the 24 is still 12 horsepower. Here's another example of transitional power on the American farm. These are incredibly popular. It's a roughly oil pole. It's called an oil pole because of the oil pool slash purpose. Designers would make these transitional machines look more like a steam engine so people felt more comfortable around them. This is a 1928 machine, part of the Lincoln family collection, just like the Russell go. Thanks for bringing it, you guys.
Here we have a 1940 Farmall base. It's really a nice box out of Marengo, Illinois. We got a nice little stuffed animal there on the front. Pulling behind a Premier Model 12 series trenches. This can be used to drag this in the field, take your trenches out, and then lay in your tile to help with draining the field. Very important piece of farm equipment there for any farmer. Now that was a 1940H. This is a 19-something Super H. In the mid-50s, Farmall decided to upgrade all of their series of tractors. 1953, upgraded all of their series of tractors. So this is a Super H. And essentially a Super H is just a more powerful version of the H with some added on things to make it easier for farmers to work on and use.
Right, here we have another transitional era gasoline tractor. This is a Tiger. They were built in Rock Island, Illinois. This has got a 4-cylinder engine in it and a planetary transmission. So in order to shift this thing around or adjust the speed, the engine itself is on some slide blocks and the whole thing moves backwards and forward. You can see some of that, those big rotating discs there. This is a 1919 Model C, 12 and 20 horsepower, part of the Schott family collection. Good to see you. Another transitional era machine. This is a 3060 Open. They're arguably one of the most successful gasoline prairie tractors produced. These were from Canton, Ohio, part of the Green family collection. Again, note the similarities to the steam engines. Massive flywheels, big drive wheels. Even the radiator on front somewhat resembles a boiler.
I believe that monster weighs in somewhere over 24,000 pounds.
Absolutely. You didn't see this machine again until the turn of the century. It did not start being tractors as big as and the rest of the trade over to Adam. He's our resident expert on late model gasoline tractor.
Oh, you're not getting off with that. Here we have a Farmall 350. This is 1957. Danny Wells out of DeKalb, Illinois. Farmall in the late 50s. They switched up their styling. A lot of the older Farmalls you'll see they're just plain red. This has the red with the almost like a cream white color on there. 350. Yeah, equivalent, I believe, from the city. This is an Oliver Super 88. This is a 1957. This is Rod Miller out of Hampshire, Illinois. This is a road crop standard front end. So here's a road crop. Here's a road crop, a regular. Some tractors here you'll see that have wider tires lower to the ground. Those are made for general farmers. Once they're road crop, they're a bit higher. Out of Sycamore, Illinois. 46,000 John Deere. John Deere in the late 30s, early 40s brought in Henry Dreyfus from New York to restyle all their tractors. Previously, they'd just been basic sheet metal over the top. This now is Chalmers D21 Series 2 turbocharged diesel. Here we have a 1946 Model 8. This is Tyrus Swedberg out of Sycamore, Illinois. This is one of the early styles, I believe. Here we have a 1946 Model 8. Joseph and Amanda Graham out of Sycamore, Illinois. Model 8 essentially a smaller version of the A and B. And here we have a Model B. This is a 1940. This is also Joseph and Amanda Graham out of Sycamore, Illinois. The Model B was one of the most successful tractors that John Deere ever made. It was their most successful twin valve tractor. They sold over 300,000 of those. Here we have a John Deere MT, Joseph and Graham out of Sycamore, Illinois. Here we have a 1949 John Deere B. This is also Joseph and Amanda Graham out of Sycamore, Illinois. Thank you guys for bringing the collection out. Excellent pieces here. Here we have a John Deere 70. This is a 1956 Jim Bodie and Jason Erickson out of Sycamore, Illinois. The 70 John Deere, you'll see there's a lot of tractors come through. They have letters, they have numbers. The letters came first, then they went to 2 numbers and then 3 numbers. The 70 was the twin number version of the Jeep.
I believe this is our first unstyled tractor, Adam. What's the difference? Why did they do style versus unstyled?
Well, this is the unstyled, so originally they just thought, well, we're just going to make them basic. We'll put the sheet metal over, make sure what needs to be covered is covered. This is Mike Bodie's Model B. Eventually they realized farmers like style tractors. Part of that was from Oliver. Oliver had a lot of really great style in their tractors. That's when John Deere brought in Henry Gravis, a company from New York, and they redesigned everything. Here's a 1951 John Deere AR, the R standing for regular. This is James Bodie out of Sycamore, Illinois. Here's a 1944 Model BR, this is Jen Bodie out of Sycamore, Illinois.
We've got a 1922 Ford Clear. This is another transitional era tractor. This was at a point in time where the companies like Ford and trying to figure out ways to basically that could successfully replace 2 or 3 horses on the farm. This would have been a 3-horse tractor.
This is also the first original design tractor here. Here's a 1946 John Deere B. This is Steve LaRose out of Garden Prairie, Illinois. Here we have a very early Casey. This is a 1936 Dustin Listener out of Sycamore, Illinois. Notice this has a battleship gray paint. Case didn't bring in that red paint until probably about the later 30s, early 40s. Here we have another KC. This is a 1936. This is Dan Quick out of Sycamore, Illinois. With a custom-made tab on that. Here we have an Oliver Roadcroft 70. This is Ken Jones out of Snow, Illinois. Got the Roadcroft wide front. Again, this is to make sure they can get between all their top rows easily, not damage anything. And also, if you'll see the back axle there, you can do a little line in that. Line in and narrow up the back wheels. They need to be whatever size they do. Here's a 1953 Oliver 66 Greg Martinez out of Hampshire, Illinois. Here we have a 1953 Farmall Super M. This is Jim Quinn out of Clear, Illinois. It's also one of the first tractors ever where they actually filled those rear wheels about 3/4 of the way with antifreeze type liquid so that it gives you some extra weight and traction.
I do believe Alice Chalmers was the first company to put pneumatic tires on their machines as well.
That's exactly what that is. Yep.
Here's got another product from the Advanced Rumbling Crushing Machine Company there in LaPorte, Indiana. This one is a product of 1920. It's model H, 16 and 30 horsepower, owned by Jim Hoffman there in McHenry, Illinois. Again, another transitional era tractor, but this one did probably so this is on very early at last long.
Why did they call it? Here we have a Farmall 8 with the 1945. This is a British map out of Noah, Illinois. So the steel wheels on it, a lot of tractors up even through the late 40s. Even though a lot of them transitioned over to pneumatic rubber tires, still offered those steel wheels as an option. Here we have a Cup Lowboy. It's a 185 turbo diesel in the 1974. This is Gordon Bruckner out of Sycamore, Illinois. The Cup Lowboy is an offshoot of the Farmall Cub. We'll probably see one of those come through later. Here's a John Deere LA. This is a 1942. This is Gordon Bruckner out of Sycamore, Illinois. The John Deere LA is a bigger version, stronger version of the John Deere L. It looks than the other John Deere tractors. That was actually developed in Dubuque, Iowa, as opposed to at Waterloo. Here is John Deere D. This is one of the most successful tractors. One of the first commercially successful tractors John Deere made. One of their first Minneapolis Moline Z was the first Minneapolis Moline tractor with the Vision Line design, meaning that it had that prairie gold color on it. It usually had a designed front grille as well. Here we have a 1943 Farmall Ace. This is Rob Ryan from Hampshire, Illinois. Longtime local club member. Chalmers B, it's a 1938, 14 horse, Matt Woodridge out of St. Charles, Illinois. We have a Matt Harris 30. This is a 1948. This is Stuart Butts out of Maple Park, Illinois. We have a John Deere 830 diesel. This is a 1959. This is Dick Rivera out of Gilbert, Illinois. As I was saying before, John Deere, they had letters, they had double numbers and triple numbers. This 830 was basically the descendant of the 80, which was the descendant of the R. The R was a replacement for the D. Here we have a half-scale coming in here. We have a half-scale 1950 Farmall W6. This is Mary Richardson out of Durango, Illinois. Sort of the same as what Liam was saying with the half-scale steam engines. Not everybody has a giant semi-truck and trailer to be hauling tractors around. So a lot of people, they like to have these half-scales, and they're excellent. Here's a half-scale of a Ford 8M. This is Andy Richardson out of Durango, Illinois, in memory of Grandpa Lloyd Todd. Here we have a half-scale John Deere D. It's a based on the 1937. This is part of the Richardson family collection out of Durango, Illinois. We have a half scale of the John Deere 4440 smash plates out of McHenry, Illinois. 4440, one of the 80s models of tractors John Deere had. We have a John Deere B. It's the 1940. This is Terry Blake out of McHenry, Illinois. We have a Farmall Ace, 1947. John Joy out of Lombard. We have another Farmall B, 1940s. Farmall Super M. Again, basically just a much more powerful, better version of the M in the mid to late 50s. This is Bob LaRose out of Hampshire, Illinois, with an excellent custom-made people wagon in tow, the whole family with them. We have a Minneapolis Moline U. This is a 1951. Ethan Coach out of Rochelle, Illinois. Looks like that's running on kerosene, propane. Besides just gasoline and diesel, there were a lot of popular alternative fuel options, including but not limited to propane and gasoline. Here we've got a 1937 John Deere Dennis Shanks out of Elburn, Illinois. Excellently restored. You can see that this is the unstyled model. It just basically has a piece of sheet metal bent up and over the top of the engine. We have a Minneapolis Moline UTU. It's a 1949. This is George Landorf out of Montgomery, Illinois. Minneapolis Moline famous for having their 5-mounted overhead valves. And then they had arms that were going on the outside up to the valves so there were no lifter on the inside. This is a Case 400. This is 1957. This is Mark Landorf out of Union, Illinois. We're going to John Deere A. It's a 1939. Charles Woodruff out of somewhere, Illinois. Elgin, Illinois. Here is an unstyled 1939 have a 1957 Farmall 350. This is Don Pierce out of Sycamore, Illinois. The Farmall name came from the original International Harvester Farmall tractor. We'll see where those come through later. It was called the Farmall because originally tractors were mainly just developed to do drawbar and pulley work. But the Farmall, International, they wanted something that could power different implements like harvesters and stuff like that. So they came up with the Farmall tractor, which also had a PTO on the back. Here we've got a Chalmers Series 3 D12 and also a D10. The difference essentially between the D10 and D12 was the tire width apart. So the D10 had a little bit narrower axle, just a little bit wider. You've got a 1958 John Deere 730. This is Thomas Ray out of DeKalb, Illinois. This is the 36 730 was manufactured. In that 700 series being an ancestor of the Model G. 700 series were so popular that those ended up still being made up until even the mid to late 60s. Very popular down in Argentina for whatever reason. You've got an International 656 in the 1970. That's Sparky Holtz out of Hampshire, Illinois. Here we have a 1953 Ferguson T030. This is Sparky Holtz out of Hampshire, Illinois. Ferguson famously had the handshake deal with Ford to make the Ford Ferguson 9N. Ferguson didn't get the rights to make the machine over in Britain, so he made his own, which was the Ferguson. The TO meant overseas, but overseas to Britain. So that was probably made in Detroit. Here we've got a JD 3365. It's a 1993. This is Chris Johnson's out of Portland, Illinois. This is what we use to mow our grounds here, and it used to be the mower for the Keeneland High School. Here we've got a 1957. Nope, that's wrong. Here we've got a John Deere 80. This was John Deere's first foray into diesel tractors. And this one had power steering. Here we've got Taylor Sunderland on this John Deere 520. This is Taylor Sunderland, one of our directors here at the show. Out of Sycamore, Illinois. Here we've got a John Deere 60. This is 1954. The John Deere Model 8 saw come through. This is its descendant. This is Andrew and Dana Eggers out of Clinton, Iowa. Here we've got a Farmall B. It's a 1945. This is David Lewis out of Quincy, Illinois. Notice it has an offset seat and steering rack, and that was so that you could see where you were driving better. This is Lady B. This restoration job looks like it was done yesterday, but this restoration job was actually done 25 years ago. Here we have a Farmall Super C. It's 19-something with a nice people wagon on the back of it. And here we have a Farmall. This is a 1929 Farmall regular, 18 horse. This is Austin Aaron out of Elgin, Illinois. This was the first tractor that McCormick Gearing made together. They said this is what's going to be a Farmall. Again, a lot of tractors before this were just made to belt and plow work. This one had the PTO on the back. It wasn't implemented subject to pressure, motors, etc. Here we got another Farmall. This is F20. The F20 was the later series after the Farmall. So that original Farmall with the battleship brake, they started calling those regulars, and the ones that came after that were more modernized, called F20, and there was also an F30 that was a little bigger. And notice that axle does not go straight across between the wheels. There's a little drop down there. They call that a drop box. Basically, it was able to give you more ride height. You can get over the top of your crops better, not damage things as you're going through the field. Here we got Chalmers WD45. This is Taylor Sunderland out of Sycamore, Illinois. The 4020 was the later model of the Ford 4010. The 4020 was one of the more popular tractors that John Deere made, especially for that time. I believe that year that they first came out with the 4020, it accounted for over half of their total sales. Here we got a Minneapolis Moline. The anticipating or anything, the Farmall Cub is eventually what would spawn Cub Cadet. We have a 1948 Farmall Cub, Zelda Fab out of Huntley, Illinois. Here we have another part of the Fab family collection. This is a 1948 Farmall M. Here we have a Ford 2N. So originally Ford and Ferguson, they had the handshake agreement because Ferguson had developed a 3-point hit that Ford very much wanted, and Ferguson couldn't sell it to him. She said, how about we make something together? So they made the 9N. But then, during World War II, there was a shortage of a lot of different supplies. So they made the 2N, which basically was just a fixture pack. There were certain things that it didn't have on it because of scarcity of resources. Here's a John Deere A. It's a 1947. We have a 1948 John Deere A47. This is late style. This is late 40s. This is John Thompson out of Chicago, Illinois. Stanford. Maybe on board. Here we have a Oliver Road Top 70. It's a 1942. Again, Oliver, one of the first tractor companies to start really stylizing their tractors. You know, this is one of the earlier ones that had full side panels all the way over their engine. Here we have a Minneapolis Motor DAU. It's a 1950. This is Michael Rice out of Sycamore, Illinois. Here we have a 1951 Minneapolis Moline R. This is Samantha Rice out of Elgin, Illinois. That's what's here. We have a 1944 John Deere A. This is Kelly Nye out of Gary, Illinois. This is walking with the Dave Snyder collection. Dave Snyder is a longtime member of the show, longtime announcer up here at the grandstand with us. Here we have a Ford 2000. This is a 1964 48 horse. This is the Camp family out of Belvedere, Illinois. After World War II, sometime about 1947, when Henry Ford I passed away, his son Henry Ford II came over. You might have seen in Ford versus Ferrari, being very upset with Ferrari. But anyways, Henry Ford II, he looked at the books and he decided that the deal with Ferguson was not financially viable anymore. So him and Ferguson split ways, but Ford obviously kept making that same tractor, but under different numbers. And this is one of the later generation of that same tractor. So that Ford 2000 is descendant of the Ford 9N. Here we have an International 424 with a R.K.G on it. Here we have a 1958 Oliver 880. This is Mark Brown's out of Sycamore, Illinois. Oliver 880 was a descendant of the Oliver 88. Here's a 1952 John Deere 60. This is Eugene Morgan out of Hampshire, Illinois. Here we have a Farmall Super C. It's a 1953. Owned by the Bush family out of White House, Tennessee. Here we have a Farmall H. 1946. This is Ken Benson out of Portland, Illinois. These two tractors in memory of Casey Buck. This family very much about drowning prevention and very with the National Drowning Prevention Association. Talked to them about that. Very passionate about it. Very important cause. Here we have a Ford 8N. This is a 1947, 30 horse. It's also part of the Bush family collection. The 8N was the tractor that Ford made after Hammond Ferguson Splitways. Here we have a 1939 Ford 9N. This is Clint Benson's out of Sycamore, Illinois. And now we got the little guys coming along here. We got a nice Ford, a nice John Deere 110. This is a 1971. This is Ken Benson family from out of Portland, Illinois. We have a Mullins 1050. It's a 1967. Robert Cormier from Kingston. We have a John Deere 70. It's a 1974. 7 horsepower. Anderson out of Sycamore, Illinois. 70 was the little brother to the 110. Here we got a Stallion Twin, 8780, 1963. Here we have a John Deere 110, that's 1964. Those earlier John Deere 110s just either got clamshell fenders that bolted onto the frame. Eventually we moved on to this style right here. So the fenders all went right into the floorboard and all the parts of the whole thing there. Then it comes to that. This is a 1968 104 with a single plow and disc on the back. Mullins, a Q17, it's 1974. We have a John Deere 112, the big brother to the 110, which also came with a new feature, which was a hydraulic lift on the back. So you see you've got that rototiller on the back there. You can lift that up and down without having to move muscle. Here we've got a John Deere 110, 1966. This is Taylor Sunderland out of Sycamore, Illinois. Here we've got a John Deere 332. It's a late 80s. You're gonna wheel horse. Wheel horse is not around for a long time, but for a good time. A very powerful lawn tractor. Became very popular. Still have a really, really strong niche following. We've got a Sears Craftsman, little 8-horse lawnmower. Craftsman, they've got everything between making tools, making engines, and making lawnmowers. They've got a Bantam 3000, 1950. Is a very small little tractor for suburban families. And here we have a Farmall A. Has the offset engine, 1941 Farmall A. Got the plows underneath there. The offset engine and the offset steering wheel, steering rack. There we go. That's a good demonstration. And see, you can see exactly where he's going because of how everything's all set there. And that also has that drop-on axle on the back, which gives you a little better clearance over discarding all that. Prior to Rumley acquiring Advanced Direction Corporation, it's a 1928 2540 Jim Hoffman's out of McHenry, Illinois. Garden tractor is very popular for the powerful hydraulic drive and even has a 3-point mount on the back. Here we've got a Case 442 PK, also with that hydraulic. This is a 1969. It's also Amber and John Dunley out of Rockford, Illinois. Here we have a John Deere 318, 1989. Amanda and Matt Tracy out of Carpentersville, Illinois. John Deere 165 Hydro for hydrostatic drive, 1983. Also the Tracy family at Carpentersville. Here you got a Cubcadet 107, 1970, 10 horse. Built in Louisville, Kentucky. Owner is Lyle Cox out of Brookshire, Illinois. Again, Cubcadet was spawned off of that Farmall Cub you saw earlier. Here we got a very customized Cubcadet. Excellent paint job there. We've got a wheel horse, a Ranger 12, it's 1969, 12 horse, Steve Frederick, out of Odessa, Texas. Came a long way to be here with us, huh? 1,200 miles this man traveled with a very freshly painted wheel horse there. Oh yeah. We've got a Country Squire, I believe it is. Yeah, an economy Country Squire, 1959. This is part of Maynard Kincaid's collection out of Rockford, Illinois. Here's another economy. This is, I believe, the little brother of the Country Squire. This is Jim Dandy. It's 1959, 10 horse. Mark Kincaid's out of Malta, Illinois. The Alger Valley Lawnmower there. We've got another Country next, so 142. And I believe that concludes our parade for the day. Thank you so